Hello and welcome back to the last study in our first week of our study on worry and anxiety. And I hope that you again have found these short and quick, encouraging lessons to be helpful. We are going to look for our final session this week at 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 6 through 8. A very incredibly encouraging and helpful passage when it comes to worry and anxiety. In particular, verse 7, which is very well known, casting all your anxieties on Him because He cares for you. But before we get there, notice what verse 6 here says, and it begins with a commanding challenge, is how I'm going to state it. Look at what he says to begin. This is Peter now under inspiration, and he says, Humble yourselves. Humble yourselves, therefore. Now that goes back to what he's already discussed to this point, and for sake of time, I'm not going to get into that. But I do want to just point out why he begins with this challenging command to humble ourselves. When it comes to anxiety and worry, you have to remember one thing, and really you have to admit one very specific thing. The reason why I get anxious about something, or the reason why I begin to worry about circumstances, is because I'm not being humble. Because I'm not in control is really what it comes down to. When I humble myself, I'm saying I'm giving my control over to the Lord. And so it's kind of this aspect here that anxiety comes as a result of feeling like you're not in control. And I'm just going to put that note here because it's really important for us to understand that. It comes from thinking I'm not in control. And the sooner that we realize this and the sooner that we admit it and really make it a focus in our discussion with the Lord, the quicker we're going to be able to change our thinking and our perspective about anxiety. So he says, humble yourselves. And this is important. He says this just prior to verse 7 because verse 7 is going to show us how we do that humbling. But before we get there again, let me just notice this, that we're humbling ourselves under the mighty hand of God. This is a very, again, challenging perspective to know that we're placing ourselves under God's hand, under God's protection, that in the proper time He's going to exalt us. So then we come to the all-important verse 7. We humble ourselves by casting all our anxieties, all of them, not some of them, all of them. All of those anxieties go to the Lord. Why? Because He cares for you. Now let me point out what we're talking about here. The word casting, which kind of got a little bit blinded there by my circle, but to cast there means to throw it all on to God. To put it, if you will, the word picture is like placing an additional load onto the back of someone. And that is what Peter is saying here. Put the load on God. Let Him shoulder it. Let Him carry it for you. And the reason we do it is because He cares. He cares for us. And this word care, I'm going to put it down here. It is concern, or I'm sorry, it's care that comes from or out of concern. So what this is saying then is that the Lord has a concern for us. And what is that concern? That we're tempted to gain control again. We're tempted to want to take circumstances onto our back instead of giving them to Him. And so His care says, I want to carry the load for you because I know what you're capable of doing without me. And that is an amazing thing. God is saying, look, let me take them. Cast your anxieties on me. That's the beautiful word picture. But here's how we need to close, with a sober reality. As Peter then writes, be sober-minded and be watchful, because we have an adversary. Satan, right? Satan, who is the devil, who's prowling around like a roaring lion, and he's seeking somebody to devour. Now, who's the person, who's the perfect candidate to fall into being the prey of Satan? Well, I think that there are some realities to this. Satan's prey, let's just examine this for a second. All right? Here's what I would say describes what Satan's prey would look like. Number one, it's a person that is trapped by their weakness. They're trapped by their weakness. If you will, here, they're trapped in their own anxiety. And so what Satan does is he sees that opportunity to then swoop in and create all kinds of additional problems through that weakness, through us not casting our anxieties on to the Lord. So Satan sees that and he says, oh, here's an opportunity for me to jump in and to create things worse. But then it's more than that. Satan's prey then are eventually destroyed through that weakness. I'll go the short through there, okay? I'm misspelling that on purpose. All right, so it's through the weakness that Satan then he destroys them, or he devours them. Folks, you have to understand this idea of worry and anxiety is not something to mess around with or to play around with or to think it's no big deal. You have to understand that your adversary right here, he's looking to make you pray. And not P-R-A-Y, right? P-R-E-Y. He wants to eat you and devour you. So by way of application, folks, understand anxiety is that potential weakness if we're not careful. It's why we are told here not to be anxious and to humble ourselves and to rely on the Lord and to cast all of that care and anxiety onto the Lord. Because the end result is that we could end up being Satan's prey. And so we have to understand the danger that can come. And so let me close this entire first week of study with this very sobering reminder. And I hope we'll take it seriously. Stop wanting to be in control. Humble yourselves. Put yourself under that mighty hand of God that He can exalt you in due time. And remember, if you want to know where anxiety really comes from, it comes from thinking I'm not in control. But you know what? Here's the beauty. You don't need to be in control. Let God take those cares. Cast all your anxieties, all of them, onto Him. Onto Him. Onto the Lord. May that help you and be a final encouragement for this week in this matter of worry and anxiety. Well, that's it for now. We'll take a one-day break and be back at it on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend, and until we are together once again, may the Lord richly bless you. Bye for now, and we'll see you for our next study on Monday. Bye-bye.